Four young people went camping in a California forest in October 2020. They brought tents, sleeping bags, a cooler of food, 2 phones between them. 3 of them came back, 1 did not. And the footage they left behind, the footage recovered from those 2 phones, is the reason you are watching this video right now. What happened on Palomar Mountain in the fall of 2020 is not a campfire story. It is not a rumor. It is not something that can be explained by bears or gas lines or mass hysteria or anything else that people reach for when they don't want to accept what they're looking at. 4 people went into that forest, 3 came out, and then one of them, the one who didn't come back, made a choice at the end of that night that the other 3 will spend the rest of their lives trying to understand. This is their story, stay with me. Every 3 minutes something happens, and none of it is what you expect. Before we start the footage, you need to understand where this happened. Palomar Mountain, San Diego, kinda east of foothills, elevation 4,500 feet. It is beautiful in the way the remote places are beautiful. Dense, kind of for forest, cold nights even in October. The kind of place where the silence at 2 a.m. is so total that you can hear your own heartbeat. The 4 people who drove up that mountain on October 14, 2020 were not reckless, they were not stupid. They were Ryan, 24, recent college graduate, his girlfriend Maya, 23, pre-med student. Their friends Jake, 25, and Sophie, 22. Normal people, smart people, the kind of people who check the weather before a camping trip and bring a first aid kit. They camped at a spot 3 miles from the nearest trail marker. No cell signal, no other campers within earshot. They set up camp at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. By midnight on Thursday, Sophie was gone. What happened in those 32 hours is recorded on 2 phones, Ryan's phone and Sophie's phone. Combined, the footage runs just over 9 hours. What you are about to hear is what happened in order in real time. The scariest part, speaking earlier than any of them expected. The first footage is casual, Ryan filming from the passenger seat as Jake drives the last dirt road into the camping area. Maya asleep against the window. Sophie in the back filming herself, making faces at the camera. Normal, alive, happy. They park, they unload, they set up the 2 tents in the clearing about 40 feet from a dry creek bed. The clearing is surrounded on 3 sides by tall ponderosa pines. Ryan films a setup, Jake hammering tent stakes, Maya organizing the cooler, Sophie gathering firewood from the edge of the tree line. And then at timestamp 4:47 p.m. Sophie stops. She's at the edge of the trees. She has a bundle of firewood under her arm, and she stops walking. She stares into the trees. Ryan, filming from across the clearing, notices. He says, and you can hear this clearly on the footage. Soph, you good? Sophie doesn't answer immediately. She keeps staring into the trees. Then she turns around and walks back to camp. Normal pace, expression neutral. Ryan asks again, what were you looking at? Sophie glances at the camera, then at the tree line, then back at Ryan. Nothing, she says. I thought I saw something move. It was nothing. She puts down the firewood and starts breaking the branches into smaller pieces. She does not look back at the tree line, but the camera does. Ryan keeps filming in that direction for another 11 seconds. And that second 8 of those 11 at the very edge of the tree line, something shifts. Not a branch moving, and when the air is completely still, something at the tree line, half in shadow, makes a movement that is too deliberate to be accidental and too vertical to be an animal. And then it's still again. Ryan stops filming. Later, days later, back in civilization, Ryan would say that he noticed that movement in the footage, that he went back and watched it frame by frame. And what he saw at the edge of those trees was tall, very tall, and thin in a way that trees are not thin. The next 3 hours of footage are normal. The 4 of them make food, drink beer, build a fire. The conversation is easy and warm. Jake tells bad jokes, Maya argues with Ryan about a TV show. Sophie sits close to the fire and barely talks, but that isn't unusual for her. She is the quiet one. The fire is good, the stars come out at 9:22 p.m. Sophie picks up her phone and starts filming the sky. She doesn't say anything, she just films the stars for almost 4 minutes straight. Then she lowers the phone and says very quietly, more to herself than to anyone, they're so far away. Jake says, the stars? Sophie says, yeah, the stars. She puts her phone in her jacket pocket. At 10:45 p.m. they put out the fire and go to bed. Ryan and Maya in one tent, Jake and Sophie in the other. The forest is quiet. At 11:59 p.m. Sophie's phone starts recording. Nobody pressed record. The phone was in her jacket pocket. Inside the tent, the footage is of the inside of her pocket. Complete darkness, but the audio is not silent. The audio picks up a sound approximately 15 seconds after the recording starts. A sound from somewhere outside the tent. It is high pitched, rhythmic, unlike anything natural. Not an insect sound, not a bird. Something with pattern, something something almost like language that has been stretched and distorted until it barely resembles anything you could name. Sophie's phone records the sound for 47 seconds and the sound stops, and Sophie's voice barely audible, almost too quiet to catch. Jake. A pause. Jake's voice, groggy. What? Do you hear that? A long pause. I don't hear anything. It stopped. Sophie says the recording ends. The next footage begins at 2:17 a.m. Ryan's phone, this time flashlight app on. He is outside the tent alone. He whispers to the camera, clearly not wanting to wake the others. I heard something outside, like a dragging sound. I'm just gonna check the perimeter, make sure nothing got into the food bags. He sweeps the flashlight around the clearing. The food bags are fine, hanging from the rope between two trees. He checks the fire pit deck cold. He checks the edge of the tree line on the south side of the clearing. Nothing. He checks the east side. Nothing. He starts walking toward the north side of the clearing, toward the dry creek bed. He is 5 feet from the tree line when the flashlight catches something. He stops. There are marks in the dirt at the edge of the creek bed. Not boot prints, not animal tracks. Long, narrow impressions in the soft soil. 3 to a group arranged in a pattern. Each impression roughly 14 inches long. The groupings are spaced about 4 feet apart. Ryan films them for almost a minute without speaking. Then he says, very quietly, what the... He follows the track line with the flashlight. The marks go from the creek bed toward the clearing, toward the tent. Ryan turns the flashlight toward the tents. Both tents glow still. He pans back to the marks, then his light catches something at the tree line, not on the ground, above the ground. 2 points of faint greenish luminescence, approximately 7 feet up, between 2 pines at the north edge of the clearing, spaced about 8 inches apart. Completely still, watching. Ryan's breathing changes immediately. The camera shakes. He takes 1 step backward. The 2 points of light do not move. He takes another step backward. They don't move. He turns and walks quickly back to the tent. Not quite running, but close. And gets inside and zips the tent closed and lies still for 40 seconds, saying nothing. Then he whispers, Maya, wake up. Maya, wake up. Morning comes, it looks normal. Sophie's footage, 7:45 a.m. She films the clearing in the soft morning light. Everything looks peaceful. The trees, the cold air, the frost on the tent fabric. But Sophie films the north tree line for almost 2 minutes. Just standing there, filming the trees. Nothing there, just trees. Ryan isn't told to the devil what he saw at 2 a.m. The morning footage shows him making coffee, eating granola bars, planning the day's hike. Ryan is quiet and he keeps looking north. At 8:20 a.m. Jake walks to the edge of the creek bed. He stops, looks down. Hey Ryan, he calls, come look at this. Ryan walks over, Sophie follows with a phone film, and Jake is pointing at the ground, the marks from the night before. Jake says, what made these? Ryan says, I don't know. Maya crouches next to them. They're so clean, like pressed in, not drag pressed. What ass feet like that? Nobody answers. Sophie films the marks for a long moment, then she tilts the camera up and films the tree line, and the footage catches something that Sophie apparently did not see through the camera while she was filming it. But that is clearly visible when you watch the footage back. At the very top of a pine tree at the north tree line, something is perched, something tall and angular, and folded in on itself like a crouched figure. Too large to be any bird, too still to be reacting to the wind that is moving the branches around it. It is perched at the top of a tree, and it is looking down at the 4 of them. They decide to hike. Ryan never tells him about the eyes. He tells himself it was nothing nor that it was an animal. He tells himself a lot of things that morning. The hike footage is mostly normal. Trail through the pines, beautiful light. Jake and Maya throwing pine cones at each other. Sophie walking ahead, slightly separate from the group. And then at 2:44 p.m. Sophie stops on the trail. The others almost walking to her. Jake says, Sophie, what? Sophie holds up one hand, stop. The forest is silent, not the normal silence of a trail. Something else, no birds on, no insects, no wind. The total suffocating silence of a space that has been vacated by every living thing that had any reason to leave. Sophie is looking off the trail to the right into the trees. The others follow her gaze, nothing visible, but Ryan's phone catches the audio. That sound again, the high-pitched rhythmic pattern from Sophie's tent, recording the night before. Closer now, much closer. Jake grabs Sophie's arm, let's go back now. Sophie doesn't move immediately. She stares into the trees, and then she says something that none of the others understand at the time. She says, it's okay, I hear you. Jake physically pulls her. Sophie moves. They run back to camp. The sound follows them, not at running pace, at a pace that suggests whatever it's making it does not need to run to keep up. They make it back to camp. They do not talk about leaving. Later, the survivors would say they don't know why. That in retrospect, the decision to stay feels like it was made for them rather than by them. The afternoon footage shows them sitting around the unlit fire pit, not talking much. Sophie staring at the tree line at 5:15 p.m. Ryan finally tells them what he saw at 2 a.m. The eyes, the 7-foot-high eyes. Nobody speaks for almost 30 seconds after he finishes. Then Jake says, "We should leave tonight." Ryan says, "It's 3 miles to the car on the trail with no light." Maya says, "Tomorrow first light, we leave first light." Sophie says nothing. She is still looking at the tree line at 6:30 p.m. Sophie gets up and walks to the edge of the clearing. Maya calls after her. Sophie stops, turns around. "I just need some air. We're outside," Jake says. Sophie almost smiles at that. She walks back to the group, sits down, but she keeps turning her head north every few minutes like something is calling her name in a frequency too low for the others to catch. At 8 p.m. they are back in the tents. No fire, no one sleeps. 11:22 p.m. Ryan's phone recording from inside the tent. He's been lying awake for 3 hours. He presses record without sitting up the phone aimed at the tent ceiling. He whispers, "I'm keeping this on if anything happens. This is my record. My name is Ryan Calloway. We are on Palomar Mountain." He names the others. He gives the date. He gives their coordinates as best he can estimate. Then he is quiet. The forest outside is silent for 6 minutes. Then a sound from directly outside the tent, not from the tree line. From directly outside, 2 feet of nylon between Ryan and whatever it is. The sound is not the high-pitched pattern from before. It is something new, a slow delivery pressure against the outside of the tent wall. Not touching the material, just close, very close. The tent wall dimpling slightly inward from proximity, from something radiating something heat. Sound that the nylon responds to, even without contact. Ryan is not moving, his breathing is so controlled it is almost silent. The dimple in the tent wall moves, slowly tracing something, a shape. Ryan watches it move, it traces the outline of a person sleeping, it knows where he is. Ryan makes a sound that is not quite a word, and the dimple stops. And the presence, whatever it is, withdraws. Ryan stays completely still for 4 minutes. Then he crawls across to Sophie and Jake's tent and gets them both awake. And all 4 of them spend the rest of the night pressed together in the same tent. Sophie is the only one who falls asleep. When she does, she smiles. It is the first time she has smiled since Wednesday evening. For 4:15 a.m. Sophie's phone. She has slipped out of the tent without waking anyone. The footage shows her sitting on a log at the edge of the clearing. The sky above is still dark, no moon. She films the north tree line, a fake glow, that greenish white, not the eyes. Something ambient, the luminescence that doesn't correspond to any light source that should be in a California forest at 4 a.m. Sophie's voice quiet, certain.
"I know you've been watching since yesterday. I know you've been watching longer than that. I don't know why it's me,
but I know it is." She pauses.
"My friends are terrified. They don't understand what's happening. They're not supposed to. I think only I'm supposed to understand."
Another pause, longer.
"I'm not afraid of you."
The glow at the tree line pulses once, very slowly, like a breath. "I know," Sophie says. She sits there for another 20 minutes, then she goes back into the tent. She lies down next to Jake. She puts her phone in his jacket pocket without recording the action. The footage just ends, but his phone, Ryan's phone, picked up audio through the tent wall, and then the audio from Ryan's phone at the exact timestamp that corresponds to Sophie returning to the tent. That high-pitched rhythmic sound, one sequence, 4 notes, and then silence. First light, they pack in silence, they pack fast. No one talks about what they heard or saw or felt, they just pack. Sophie helps. She seems calm, efficient. She folds the tent with practice, careful movements, while the other stuff sleeping bags. At 6:47 a.m. they are ready to go. Jake voice is packed. Ryan checks the campsite one last time. Maya is already on the trail. Sophie stands at the edge of the clearing, facing north. Jake says, "Soph, let's go." Sophie turns around and she looks at him for a long time. The way you look at someone when you are memorizing a face.
"I love you," she says.
"Tell my family."
Jake says, "What?"
Sophie says, "Go, all of you, run." Jake says, "Sophie, run." Something comes out of the north tree line. The footage Jake's phone pulled from his pocket in the chaos catches it. 3 figures, 7 feet tall, thin, in a way that makes your eyes reject the image. Triangular heads, arms too long and segmented at angles that arms should not bend, legs that hinge backward, moving at a pace that is not running but is faster than running. Ryan and Maya are already moving. Jake grabs Sophie's arm and she lets him pull her 2 steps, and then she stops and she reaches back and she takes his hand off her arm gently. The way you put down something you love.
I'll be okay, she says.
Go. Jake stands there for 1 second. The figures are 30 feet away.
Sophie turns to face them.
She stands very straight. The figures stop. They're looking at her, all three of them. Those eyes, greenish white, steady, ancient in a way that makes everything human feel like an accident. Jake runs. The footage from his phone catches the last image. Sophie standing in the clearing, the three figures closing around her. Not with violence, with something that looks almost like recognition. Like they have been looking for her for a long time and found her. And found her. Ryan, Meyer, and Jake reached the car at 8:52 a.m. They drove to the nearest cell signal and called 911. Search and rescue teams covered every inch of Palomar Mountain over the following 9 days. They found the campsite. They found the marks by the creek bed. They found Sophie's sleeping bag, her journal, her car keys. They did not find Sophie. She has never been found. The case remains open. The footage was reviewed by authorities who described the tall figures as inconclusive, inconsistent with trees or shadows given the soft light conditions. Ryan and Jake and Maya have never camped again. Ryan has given one interview since he said one thing that I want to leave you with. He said she wasn't taken, she chose to go. Whatever that means, wherever she is, I think she's okay. I think she found something that she'd been looking for her whole life without knowing what it was. He couldn't explain that, he just knew. Sophie left one last recording, the one her phone made, when she slipped it into Jake's pocket at 4 a.m. after sitting with something in the dark. The last frame before the recording ends is a still image unintentionally captured. Sophie's face, eyes closed, smiling at peace. Wherever you are, Sophie, we hope it's beautiful. I'm Aliens Dark Tales. Subscribe if this kept you up tonight, because next week something else came out of those mountains, and it was following them all the way home. Ryan does not sleep again that night. He sits in the tent with Maya sleeping beside him, and he watches the tent wall for shadows, and he tries to convince himself that what he saw was some kind of reflective insect through fireflies, a trick of the dark. He watches the tent wall, nothing moves. At 3:55 a.m. he finally closes his eyes. At 3:57 a.m. Sophie's phone picks up sound again, not the rhythmic pattern this time, something else. A single low tone sustained, like a note being held by an instrument that doesn't exist in any orchestra. It lasts for 11 seconds, then nothing. The next morning Ryan would find that the note had been recorded at a frequency that is technically below human hearing. The phone microphone caught it, human ears wouldn't have, so why did every single one of them wake up at exactly 3:57 a.m. Ryan, Maya, Jake, Sophie, all four of them simultaneously, eyes open. In the dark, none of them told the others, none of them, till days later compared notes and discovered that at 3:57 a.m. on Thursday morning, something reached into every sleeping mind in that campsite and pulled them all to the surface at the same moment, with the same sound, the sound they couldn't hear but felt. At 7:45 p.m., Jake tries to reach his phone's emergency SOS function. No signal, they are too deep. He tries Ryan's phone, same result. Sophie watches him try without commenting. When he gives up and puts the phone down, she says very quietly, "It wouldn't matter." Jake says, "What wouldn't?" Sophie says, "Calling for help, it wouldn't matter." Jake stares at her. "Why would you say that?" Sophie looks at the tree line, then at Jake. "I don't mean it as a bad thing," she says. She pulls her knees to her chest and wraps her arms around them. "I've been having these dreams," she says, "since we got here. Every time I close my eyes, even for a few seconds, I see this place, not the forest, somewhere else. It's very clean, very quiet, very far away, and there's something there that I can't see clearly, but that I know is looking at me." Jake says, "You're
Describing a nightmare."
Sophie shakes her head slowly. "No," she says, "that's what's strange about it. It doesn't feel like a nightmare. It feels like the opposite, like the only place that makes sense. Like everywhere else, this, us, all of this is the dream." She looks at Jake. "Does that scare you?" Jake says, "Yes." Sophie nods. "I thought it would." She rests her chin on her knees. "It doesn't scare me," she says. "The fire between them burns low. From the north tree line in the dark, there is no sound, but Sophie's head turns toward it anyway. Like someone hearing their name after they all pile into one tent, after the presence withdraws, after the slow, terrible dimple in the nylon wall moves and stops and is gone. They try to make a plan. Jake says they should make noise, make a fire, make themselves impossible to approach silently. Ryan says whatever is out there isn't approaching silently, it's approaching however it wants to approach. Making noise won't change that. Maya says they should tie the tent closed and not open it until full daylight. They tie the tent closed. Sophie sits very still in the corner of the tent while the others talk. She has her knees pulled up and her arms around them, and she's listening to the conversation, but also listening to something else. Something layered underneath the conversation that only she can hear. At one point, Ryan, who was watching her, asks,
"What are you thinking about?"
Sophie Bleeks comes back. "I'm thinking," she says slowly, "about how we always assume that being chosen is something that happens to people in stories, old stories, biblical stories, mythology, not us, not now, not in a tent on a mountain in California in 2020. Ryan stares at her.
"Sophie," he says carefully, "I need you to listen to me."
"Nothing is choosing you, something is scaring us. Those are different things." Sophie looks at him, and the look on her face, the look that Ryan would describe in every interview afterward, the look he said he would see every time he closed his eyes for years, was not the look of someone being argued out of something. It was the look of someone who knew something the others didn't and felt sorry for them.
So, which one do you believe is truly visiting Earth? The Greys? The Reptilians? The Mantis Watchers? Or something we haven't even named yet? Comment below. And if you want more alien horror, abduction cases, and dark ufology, subscribe to Aliens Dark Tales, because the darkness isn't empty. It's watching. And remember, the tales are not over. They are just beginning.